Hello, I'm W.T. Edmondson, and welcome to Focus. Freedom often causes unbelievable silence. Of course, the intent and aim of Focus is to motivate, educate, and move our citizens to action. Our guest was recently appointed as Director of the Office of Equal Opportunity with the Office of Administration, State of Missouri. This office has been in existence for a number of years in the state, and so we'll be talking about the mission of that office and what its purpose is and his goal and ambition for the office. He is not new to state government. He worked for the Department of Social Services, Division of Youth Services. He also worked for the Juvenile Justice Association and also Missourians for Kinder. In our conversation over time, I found that he has a very interesting life story, and it's one of these stories that you think about that the Lord blesses us in so many different ways, and He provides opportunities for us when we least expect it. And with that blessing, there is an expectation of us being a blessing to others. So after that conversation, I decided I wanted to have him on for him to share a little bit about his life story. Our guest is Seth Bauman, and as I indicated, he is the Director of the Office of Equal Opportunity with the Office of Administration. Welcome to Focus.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. As I indicated, everyone has a story. What is your story, and what brought you to this point in your life?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a lot about what you just said about God having a hand in my life. Now, I won't indulge everything on this setting, yeah. But, you know, it's really about, if I were to sum it up, I would say, you know, define the odds. I think resiliency and being able to embrace the risk of failure in your life. I've been through a lot of hardships, but it's through those moments that I really learned how to be successful. And not only that, but to understand that life's not fair for everybody, that we have to respond to the circumstances that come about. So one of my favorite verses from the Bible is "Count it all joy." And so it always reminds me that no matter what happens to you, it happens for a reason, you know, and it's all about how you can bounce back and what do you learn from that circumstance. When I was growing up, I lived in Kansas City, Missouri. My family moved down to Warsaw, and if you know anything about Kansas City and Warsaw, they're two complete opposite environments. But we grew up what I would consider pretty poor. There were times where we didn't have running water, we didn't have electricity, but my parents, they didn't make excuses for it. You know, we really embraced what we had. You know, if we had to cook food over a campfire, that's what we did, you know, and it was fun. So I don't think it was till high school, maybe, or college, that I actually realized, like, wow, I'm really poor. I don't have as much as somebody else does. But I would say that within that, you know, I've been to a lot of sermons. I really didn't go to church much until I was about 18 or 19. And when I started going, one of the things that really resonated with me, along with my great-grandmother, who's been a huge influence in my life, was a saying that if God brought you to it, God will bring you through it. Mm-hmm. And I remember I had just got married to my wife. We've been married for 10 years. And at the time, I was washing dishes for Golden Living Center for a nursing home, making like $7 an hour, trying to finish up college. And, you know, I had a big dream, a big goal. And I wanted to be not just where I'm at in life, but be in a place where I could influence others. It's because of those hardships that I've really worked extremely hard to be where I'm at, because I want to give back. I understand that a lot of these circumstances have emotional tolls, they have spiritual tolls, they have physical tolls on people. And so I've done everything I can, from education to personal, professional growth, to get to where I'm at today.
Okay. It appears from conversation that you have a passion for young people, in that your work experience also kind of dictate that. Was that intentional, or was that just where the job happened to be?
It was intentional. I had a professor. I was back on my alma mater campus, Central Methodist, and they asked me to do the Gaddis Lecture, which is a prestige lecture each year that they choose somebody, and they asked me to be that person. And first I was like, well, are you sure you got the right person? I prayed about it, and I felt like that was an opportunity to reveal who I am and why I do what I do. And I remember thinking about that, and it was a professor that I used to sit at the library outside, and every day he would come by and ask me if I was trying to change the world, and I really was. I feel like it's those of us that think like that can have at least an impact. So I was intentional. I wanted to figure out, as I was coming into adulthood, where I was going to spend my time, because we all have a short amount of time on this life, and I wanted to figure out how to make the best impact, and I felt like it was educating people, influencing their lives, and I felt like youth was a perfect place to be. I relate to youth, having gone through those same circumstances and trials and tribulations. It was very easy for me to relate. So that's where I put my effort and started my career in the juvenile justice system.
Looking back on your life experience, there's always someone who played a tremendous role in your life, who has influenced your life, and had a tremendous impact. Who would that person be?
Oh wow, I'm almost at fear to say, because at the loss of not saying other people. But there's been a lot of people, and from small to huge actions that they've done. But the most influential, I would say, is my great grandmother. She was born in 1928. She got married when she was 16, had already graduated high school. She taught me the simple things in life, and that wasn't not only the education of what hope and faith can do for my life, but it was the things that sometimes we overlook: relationships, loving people. And so what she really taught me was, one, she didn't judge me when I had messed up or had been through my troubles. What she did is she embraced me and she loved me, and she showed me a pure joy and a happiness that comes from faith. And I wanted that. And so that's really what I started after, was how do I get that joy? And then how do I extend that joy to other people?
How did you go about overcoming, thinking back, how did you go about overcoming? You talked about the environment that you grew up in the city of Kansas City to Warsaw. Extreme polar opposites.
Correct.
How did you go about overcoming the challenges in those various environments that you found yourself in? And what do you think, how do you think you grew in both those environments?
Yeah, I think that, when I look back, it wasn't all me. It was being able to have people that influenced me. So even, when I talked about being poor, I felt that we were very rich in spirit. We were very rich in the fact that my parents always told me that I could be anything I wanted to be, that knowledge was power. And so that's kind of what pushed me to pursue education. But in those instances, coming from Kansas City to Warsaw, there's a lot of differences, and you go from an environment where everybody around you looks the same to an environment where now you're one of few people that look the same. And so whether it's interpersonal discrimination, whether it's you feel that you're left out, those are battles I think a lot of people struggle. Kids struggle potentially with bullying, whether it's racism itself, but every school has their popularity, sex, and so kids are going through a lot of emotional stuff. And I think for me, I dug deep into humor. And I heard this from Jim Carrey, who's a comedian, and he said that, his life was so tough that he realized that it was just as tough on other people around him. So whether it was someone calling me a name, I realized that they're struggling with the same issues in the same environment I am. So, how can I increase and influence their life and bring joy to them? And when I started doing that, you started building relationships. You started realizing that the people that once seemed against you have more commonalities, and those are the people that actually embraced you and built you up. And so that was I really feel like those relationships helped get through those tough situations.
At what point did you decide to pursue education with a passion?
There are a number of reasons. I think initially I was the first out of my family to go to college, so that was a big deal for me. But I don't think that I truly embraced education, like what it means to teach myself how to learn, until my junior year, until I got married, until I found my faith, and I realized that it's about acquiring all these tools, and it's about acquiring all these different, so to speak, resources of information to put in your tool belt. So whenever a decision comes up, you can make a more informed decision, and that all smart people, you're not just going to remember everything, but if you practice, if you work hard, if you have a great work ethic, you can make more informed, more in tune decisions, which over time they say, where your circumstance in life, where you're at right now, is a combination of all the small decisions you've made up to that point.
Mm-hmm. From your response, it sounds as though your wife had a tremendous influence upon you understanding that you were in the place where you were for a purpose other than just being there.
Yeah. It's no secret. She was born and raised in Jeff City, and a lot of people around the community know her. So it's no secret that when they see us together, they know who's the best side. But I think it's a big responsibility. At that time, I had endured a few losses, friends, a tragic incident happened where an aunt of mine was murdered, and there was a lot of things going around where I was really grasping to understand life and understand, what is the purpose and what is our purpose. And when I found her, I was coming in tune with my faith, and I knew it was the right thing to do, and I knew she was the one. But I seen that marriages all across the board were failing. And I think that the institution of marriage itself is it's a sacred thing, but it's becoming a rare thing. Mm-hmm. And I really want to fight and to hold on for that. And so I think that kind of kicked my mindset into gear to, okay, the next phase is being a father. Am I ready for this? Can I set myself up and prepare myself for it? Mm-hmm. So yeah, she definitely had a huge impact on that.
So what role does family have on kids developing the necessary coping skills to be successful?
In my experience, and working with the juvenile court and working at the Missouri Juvenile Justice Association, two of the main factors that studies have shown that will help keep a kid on path for success are career opportunities and intimate relationships. And so the family unit, I think that nucleus is the foundation, it's the key to building those moral imperatives and to set up those moral systems for those kids moving forward in life, so that they have something to go back to. They have a grounds to weigh their decisions off of. And now in our society, we see a lot of divorces, or we see a lot of kids that are with their grandmother, they're not necessarily in that family unit. I think it's very important that they have those positive role models surround them to help establish that. And so the family unit to me is vital to success for kids.
So how important do you think positive outside sources and resources actually have on children and the deficiencies that they may have in the home?
It's invaluable, I think. One of the things we were able to do in Jeff City, and this is because this is a combination of so many people that came to the table, we were able to start a Cole County Youth Day. And there were so many people, I wish I could name everybody, but the whole intent, the whole goal was to show that here's all these leaders around the community, here's all these people that not only want to give kids a voice, but we're here as a resource for you. We're a positive influence in your life. And I think that when youth see that and youth start to believe that people believe in them, it's kind of like that saying the quote that people don't really care about what you know until they know you care. I think that's what youth are waiting on. They want to see someone who's really invested and cares for them, or either at the moment or in hindsight. They want to see and look back and say, wow, this person really did care. And that's a motivating factor. And when you see a community come together, I think it's powerful. Now, it's hard to quantitate, but I think it's very powerful.
As a young professional, what words of encouragement would you share with young people who may not see that light at the end of the tunnel? They have an idea, but the light is dim.
You know, I would say to embrace it. We all go through those times, and I think it's in those moments that we realize that there is no light without darkness. I think that when you're going through that tunnel, you have to endure those moments when you're in the darkness to really appreciate that light. And some of us may have a huge light at the end of the tunnel, but some of us have just a glimmer, and we become some of the most successful people because we've gone through so much darkness. By the time the light comes in, it's like you're parched and you're looking for some water, and you finally get a little sip. You appreciate that more than anything. I would say to stay positive and to embrace failure. I think that one thing I've learned in the last couple of years coming into my 30s was to really fail, you're succeeding, especially when your mindset is to learn from what you've done, learn from your mistakes and to move forward. They say the big payoffs take the greatest risk, and to dream. You know, go ahead and dream, put your dream out there and try to manifest it. I was just watching something, again, it goes back to Jim Carrey. He's probably one of my favorite comedians, but he said that before he was on Dumb and Dumber, he wrote a check to himself for $10 million. He said it was ridiculous. You know, he drove like a $500 car, didn't really think that he would get there, but he started manifesting that out. He said in 5 years, he got on the set of Dumb and Dumber, and they paid him $10 million. He said, now it takes extremely hard work to do that, but you have to put your goals out there and shoot for them and not be afraid of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one of the things you have to understand that there's dream busters out there, and you cannot not allow anyone to say what you can't do.
Yeah.
You have to be committed to whatever you set your mind to.
Correct.
Now let's talk about your role, your current role with the Office Week opportunity. First of all, tell us, what is the mission and purpose of your office?
Yeah, so just going as broad as possible, our goal, or our mission, is to empower traditionally underserved communities and underrepresented individuals within state government contracting and employment opportunities. In our vision, the way that we want to do this, and so when I came on board, I had previously worked in the office for a little bit, and what we did is we did a lot of certifications. But I seen that there was a need for educating, there was a need for outreach, there was a need to really connect with the people of the state, because just certifying a firm, it may increase your access to state contracting. That's what we want. But if the firm's not able to fulfill the job, if the firm doesn't have the employees or doesn't have the means to do the work, what is our certification worth? And so really we set out to bring all these wraparound services and get them involved and to say, okay, here's firms. These are minority women-owned business owners that are looking to grow their business who may need some assistance. And of course, when you factor in historical discrimination and other, I guess you could say, lingering effects of Jim Crow or biased policy, what you find is that a lot of times small businesses, minority women, have a tough time getting loans, or they have a tough time within that environment finding skillful and qualified employees. And so what I want to do is bring, whether it's economic development or whether it's there's programs at the state treasurer's office or whether there's programs in the local community, bring them together to find out ways that we can work to ensure that these firms are successful.
How did you happen to become interested in your focus appeared to have been youth services, young people. This is more professional business development. How did you take that tour?
Well, I didn't always see it at first, but over time I've realized that career opportunities are huge. when it comes to success of individuals. And so within businesses, contracting opportunities are huge for businesses. And what I've learned is when we addressed racial disparities and social justice at the Missouri Juvenile Justice Association, we worked under a grant for Department of Justice, and we looked at the overrepresentation of youth of color in the juvenile justice system. In other terms, it's called the school to prison pipeline. And what we've seen is there's so many contributing mechanisms before youth even get to the juvenile system that create barriers or that prevent them from reaching their full potential and being successful. And so my goal, I do feel like this work, especially the models that we use to be successful in that arena, can be transferred over to this arena. But I think that the goal is to use what I learned at each stage, at each platform of my professional career, personal life, to use that to influence the next. And so coming into this arena where, we're focused on business, it was a steep learning curve for me. But I felt that I had a great understanding of the environmental factors that really act as barriers for minority communities, a lot of times for women. And so I could use that knowledge to really bring a more progressive approach to this office.
We spoke about certification. For those individuals who don't understand what certification is, why there's a need for certification, expound on that for a little bit.
Okay. The certification in itself allows you on certain contracts within the state to have a competitive edge in the bidding process. And so whether that's by points, whether that's by some programs can have mandated goals to reach, so if you're a prime contractor, you may have a mandated goal to subcontract with a minority woman-owned business. And so it creates it's a leverage to create more opportunities for minority and women in businesses. So when we're working with all 16 state agencies, they have these good faith effort, these goals to reach. And so the whole goal is with this diversity and inclusion is to buy people into this cause, this idea, this theory, this thought that if we can reach inclusion, if we can bring minority firms in, if we can expend money, that this money then goes to the communities. And these communities then provide service not only for the state, but for the people around them. And so we're empowering those people. So it's really buying people into the cause of what we do and utilizing those firms.
Now, is there a fee involved in this certification process?
No, not at all. So, and I think it's wonderful. I think that money, sometimes when we're in the juvenile justice field, if a kid had committed a crime and say his parent was responsible or held responsible for what the kid did, they may owe a fee for something, and we always looked at, can that family really pay that fee? We're talking about small businesses. Not only, a lot of times do we have a lot of red tape that we want to try to pull back. So internally we're looking at improving our certification process to make it faster. We've already streamlined it. We're looking at ways that we can change that process in order to get applications in and get them out at a quicker rate. But ultimately, I think that if we were to charge a fee, it would just act as another barrier for individuals and firms. Sure.
Now, there are those who would say everyone has an equal opportunity to bid for a contract. Mm-hmm. Everyone has an equal opportunity to apply for a job. Mm-hmm. So why should that be a special benefit, a special service for minority and women?
Well, I kind of mentioned the historical context of discriminatory policies and there's a time, we talk about the civil rights in general, the whole movement, that caused a lot of hardships. It did oppress minorities and women, and even before that, there were certain groups, minority groups that have been oppressed. And we can go back to slavery, we can go back and we can look at all these historical accounts. But moving forward, what we see is a lot of disproportionalities within participation for minority women within state government. So for instance, if we're looking at diversity and inclusion, we're looking at the demographics of Missouri, weighed to the demographics of the workforce within state government, and we want to try to mirror that to reach a parity. And if there's an underrepresentation, our job is to work at how can we increase that participation. And so certainly we see that in not only in state government, and this is an issue around the nation, around the state, but at the juvenile system, we use relative rate indices, and we looked at disproportionalities on contact points. And in some counties in Missouri, we had a relative rate indice of 9, and which that meant is African American kids were 9 times more likely to be sent to the juvenile justice system. And then if you factor in the disparities within education systems, from more urban schools to more affluent schools. You can take in transportation issues or lack of transportation issues from urban to rural settings and areas. There's a lot of factors, and we call those contributing mechanisms that play into why there are disparities for minority and women.
What impact? We're talking about, you have history with working with youth, disparities and barriers. Now you're dealing with adults in the business sector, barriers of discrimination and lack of access. What impact does self-esteem play on that and the importance of being a self-starter?
Okay, and are you talking about for me personally or for the firms?
For the firms.
Okay, I think that has to do a lot. One of the things, I had a question coming into this office and was given this empowerment by this administration, was to look at what are we doing, and are we doing it right, and are we doing it most efficient, and to understand that also a piece of what we do is symbolic. It's really empowering the people of the state to believe that if they want to start this certain type of firm, that they can, that there's opportunities within the state to get contracting opportunities or to be awarded a contract, and to believe that we're here to serve you. And that's why I'm here, and the leadership, whether it's the commissioner, whether it's the governor, that's the same thing they echo, is we're here to serve the citizens first. And so I think that's a vital aspect, is symbolically showing them that we care and that we're improving our services, we're revamping what we do to better serve you. I think as far as the second aspect of that, I think being a self-starter is huge, because no opportunity is going to just jump off the table and hit you in the lap and say, here we are. You're gonna have to go get that opportunity. You're gonna have to work hard for that opportunity. And that's something that I've learned personally. Nobody's just gonna hand you a director job, but if you go out there and you prove yourself, you work extremely hard, you network, you get in front of the right people, you create a space of opportunity, and it's not just you, it's people around you helping you create that space. You can be successful, and that's what our office is here to do, is to help assist you along that journey to create that space of opportunity.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate you coming and sharing not only a little bit about your life story, but also the important role that you play within the Office of Equal Opportunity, state of Missouri. Well, I've been speaking with Mr. Seth Bauman, and he is the recently appointed Director of the Office of Equal Opportunity and the Office of Administration. We hope that you have heard something that piqued your interest. If you have any interest in talking or learning more, what's your number?
My door is always open. Cell phone? Yeah, but you can call 573-751-8130.
Okay.
Office of Equal Opportunity.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. God bless.